Rietta's family owned a big company in another country, so it made sense they wouldn't want their daughter to marry someone they didn't know well. Yes, that's what happened, my daughter. I tried to find you for years, but then my parents told me that both of you died in a car accident. I didn't believe it at first, but then they showed me the news of Tan Hu's death. Rietta cried again, remembering what happened when she received the news. She saw that Tan Hu, her son, had passed away in a car accident, and somehow her parents manipulated the news saying that Tan Hua had also died. Only years later, after she saw a poster of Tan Hua on the street, did she realize her parents had lied to her? Her daughter was still alive. This meant Tan Hu must still be alive. Hu knew that Tan Hu's death was real, and only her daughter survived. I know. I never blame you. Tan Hua felt awkward, knowing she wasn't the real Tan Hua that this woman was looking for. She was happy that this body had finally found its mother after all the drama. But what about this woman's family? She guessed this woman must have children from her second marriage as well. Rietta couldn't hold back her tears, seeing the daughter she had from the man she loved, didn't blame her at all for not finding her sooner. She had heard about Tan Hua's situation from Lan Yanjing, and how she had to live a hard life. Her heart ached so much. For a mother to let her child suffer like this, she felt like a failure. Mom, it's okay, but you have children from your second marriage too, right? Tan Hua forced herself to say mom, even though this woman wasn't her own mother. Somehow, seeing this woman reminded her of her real family. Would they realize that her soul had been switched? Or maybe they didn't notice at all and were living happily with a Tan Hua there? Thinking like this, Tan Hua couldn't help but want to cry. Her life in this world, inside this drama, wasn't good at all. She wanted to curse Shenling for being unfair to her, but life was never fair. What could she do? It was true that her life in this world wasn't perfect, but one thing she was grateful for was the chance to meet Nanshen. If she hadn't transmigrated here, she would never have met Nanshen and possibly never fallen for him. She couldn't imagine a life without Nanshen now, so what Shenling had done to her wasn't so bad after all. Yes, I have a son. He is still young. Rietta raised her head when Tan Hua asked her this. She indeed had a son when she was already quite old, which was a miracle in itself. Even though she didn't have feelings for her current husband, she still loved this son dearly, just as she loved Tan Hua and Tan Hu. I see, hearing that her mother, whom she had just met, already had another child, Tan Hua couldn't help but silently sigh. If that's the case, she guessed she wouldn't have to go to her mother's house or anything, since they already had an heir there. Now, her mission to find her real parents had been accomplished. But strangely, she didn't feel happy about it. It's true that she felt happy for this body since it had found its real parents, but she was the one who had lost her real parents now. Don't worry. I won't take you back to my home if you don't want to. I just want to say that I am glad you're all right. Rietta also sensed that Tan Hua wasn't comfortable with her yet. It could be understood since this girl hadn't met her for years. Maybe she never even remembered what her own mother looked like. She left this girl when she was still a baby, after all. It's all right, just seeing her daughter, her only daughter, was fine and all right. She couldn't ask for more. It would be selfish for her, who suddenly wanted to meet this girl, to also want her to live with her. This girl had slowly paved her own path. She shouldn't disturb her for now. Right. Indeed, I will refuse if you want me to live with you, but I don't mind if you want me to visit your house sometimes. Tan Hua smiled as she held Rietta's hand. This woman in front of her was this body's real mother. No matter what happened in the past, she still had to forgive this woman since it wasn't even her fault to begin with. Indeed, she kind of resented this woman after learning how the original soul of this body had suffered so much before, wishing to be transmigrated to her world. The original soul of this body suffered partly because her mother and father weren't there with her. Thank you. If you want to visit my house, just call me. Here is my number, and Henrietta couldn't help but burst into tears once more, seeing her daughter, who carried her late husband's eyes, looking at her with a smile. There wasn't any resentment toward her, even when she deserved to be hated for not taking care of her own daughter. Yan Hua. No, Tan Hua, you have grown up now. Mom is very proud of you. Tan Hua's original world. Throb. Huh? Yan Hua paused for a second when she suddenly felt a heart throb. She felt as if her real parents, whom she had never seen before, were calling her just now. But it's impossible, isn't it? In fact, Yan Hua knew that she wasn't Tan Hui's real sister, but she just kept pretending she didn't know. Dear, what's wrong? Upon noticing their daughter suddenly stop eating, Tan Hua's mother got worried. This girl had been spacing out very often ever since they returned from their holiday. No, I'm fine, Mom. Yanhua smiled awkwardly as she continued her meal. No, this can't be. She was in Hua, the daughter of famous designers now. She better forget the life she had back in her old world. Tanhua's place. So, how is it? Lan Yanjin went back to the room again after sending Rieta back to her hotel. Rieta had given Tanhua her phone number so she could contact her anytime. Yeah, she is my biological mom. Tanhua sighed as she massaged her temple. Now that she had found this body's biological mother, she only needed to find out who was the cause behind Tan Hui's father's suicide attempt. Who made his company go bankrupt. This was the only thing she owed Tan Hui. Even though she was already stable economically, and her brand had established a foothold in the fashion industry, she still couldn't repay Tan Hui for everything she had done for her. I see. Good for you then. Lan Yanjin sat down beside Tanhua as he stole a glance at her face. Now that Tanhua had settled her business, she could live as a girl. Not to mention, her mother was actually someone he knew well. Isn't this a sign from heaven that he could court her? Nan Shen wasn't making any moves on Tanhua, so it should be okay, right? Nan Shen didn't deserve Tanhua. Thanks for letting me meet my mother. Tanhua properly thanked Lan Yanjin, even though she still had her guard up against this man. This man had tried to do something bad to her before, so how could she trust him again so fast? Still, a thanks is a thanks. Thanks to Lan Yanjin, she managed to find her mother sooner than she expected. Shenling had been busy with his job, so she couldn't depend on him to find out about this. Thank me? How about giving me a kiss as a thank you gift? Thank me? How about giving me a kiss as a thank you gift? Lan Yanjin raised his eyebrow playfully as he approached Tanhua, who was sitting not far from him. What the? Tanhua's eyes widened in shock when Lan Yanjin asked for a kiss, as his thank you gift instead of just words. Seeing the man approach her, Tanhua instantly got goosebumps. Yeah, you can't? Lan Yanjin had sat right next to Tanhua now, moving his face closer to hers, waiting for the kiss he knew he didn't deserve. Wait. I can't. Tanhua was flustered seeing Lan Yanjin's face so close to hers. On one side, she didn't want to have any connection with Lan Yanjin anymore, but the man had indeed helped her a lot in this case. Could she push this man away? She couldn't, right? Just when Tanhua was troubled by Lan Yanjin's heavy request, the door to the private room suddenly opened with a loud sound. Bang! What? Tanhua was startled hearing the loud noise from behind. She quickly turned her head to see what happened, and what she saw was someone who had been handling the press for her. And Nan Shen? What are you doing? Nan Shen squinted his eyes as he glared at Lan Yanjin while approaching Tanhua. Nan Shen's face was dark, and anyone who saw his face right now would immediately know that he was angry. Nan Shen's chest went up and down as he glared at Lan Yanjin with a scary expression. He had been running from the conference room to this room after noticing Tanhua was nowhere to be seen. At that time, memories suddenly flashed again through his mind, and this time it was the memories of Tanhua when she was kidnapped. The sudden fear he felt couldn't be more real after recovering those memories that he wanted to forget instead. The memories that became an ugly scar for him, reminding him that he couldn't even protect Tanhua when she was working under him. He was a failure as both a man and a boss. Nan Shen quickly called his men to find Tanhua, and when someone said they saw Tanhua go into a room with Lan Yanjin, his heart stopped beating for a millisecond. With Lan Yanjin? To a room? The one telling him didn't say what room it was, but since they were in a hotel, he could only think of a bedroom. At that time, something rushed to his brain, and he suddenly felt very irritated, wanting to confront someone on the spot. He felt really troubled, anxious, angry. Irritated, he suddenly was in a bad mood. And it was all because of one simple girl. What was going on with him? He couldn't be jealous of Lan Yanjin, right? Nan Shen could finally sigh in relief, knowing that the room Tanhua went to wasn't a bedroom. But who knew, once again, when he came inside, he saw Lan Yanjin's face so close to Tanhua's. What were these two doing while he was away handling the press matters? What? I just helped Tanhua meet her biological mother, nothing more. Lan Yanjin shrugged his shoulder casually, facing Nan Shen, who looked as if he was about to murder someone. Who was Nan Shen to ask him what he was doing? He could do whatever he wanted with Tanhua since the girl wasn't Nan Shen's girlfriend anymore. Then what Nan Shen was about to ask what they were doing with their faces so close to each other when, out of the blue, Lan Yanjin suddenly put his hand on Tanhua's bare shoulder, pulling her toward him. Hi? Tanhua trembled when Lan Yanjin suddenly touched her and pulled her toward him. What was this crazy man thinking? Why on earth would he do this in front of Nan Shen? Wait a minute, if Nan Shen saw her like this, wouldn't this cause a misunderstanding? What if Nan Shen thought that she was fooling around with Lan Yanjin while he was helping her with her brand problems before? Wouldn't he see her as ungrateful or perhaps a gold digger? What if he despised her even more? Just like Tan Hua thought, Nan Shen's face turned red from anger when he saw Lan Yanjin's brazen actions right in front of his eyes. This man! Nan Shen strode over to Tan Hua's seat, and without saying anything else, slapped away Lan Yanjin's arm from Tan Hua's shoulder before grabbing the girl by her wrist and dragging her away from the room, leaving Lan Yanjin dumbfounded. That man's reaction was so big. Didn't he lose his memory of Tan Hua? How come, in his eyes, Nan Shen looked like a super jealous boyfriend? No, this can't be. He had to move fast. What should he do? Right. He still had that way. Lan Yanjin quickly called his parents to discuss something he thought would be a way to get Tan Hua to be his girlfriend. No, to be his future wife. He wouldn't let that man Nan Shen take Tan Hua back. Where are we going? Tan Hua hurriedly asked Nan Shen when the man dragged her away from the room. She didn't know where this man would bring her, but one thing for sure, her wrist hurt. The hand that was grabbing her wrist felt so strong, almost like a chain locking her in place, making her unable to break free even though she wanted to. Just follow me. Nan Shen didn't look back as he kept walking toward a certain place. His face was still dark, and his eyebrows were furrowed, showing that his mood wasn't improving at all. But Tan Hua really wanted to say that her wrist hurt. But seeing Nan Shen's side profile was still as serious as before, she refrained from saying anything. Even if she said something now, seeing how angry Nan Shen was, she bet this man wouldn't listen to her. But one thing she couldn't understand. Just why the heck was Nan Shen suddenly angry? She hadn't done anything wrong. Bruck! Just when Tan Hua was lost in her own thoughts, Nan Shen suddenly opened a room door, startling her awake from her reverie. Tan Hua's eyes widened as she saw that the room in front of her wasn't a normal room, as she had thought, but a bedroom. It was a typical hotel bedroom with a twin bed. But the problem wasn't the room itself, it was the type of room. It wasn't the lounge or a private room with a sofa, where people usually had private conversations. It was a bedroom. Tan Hua froze in place when she realized that Nan Shen had brought her to a bedroom. She suspected that this must be Nan Shen's room since she spotted a suitcase not far from the door, which probably belonged to him. What? A bedroom? Nan Shen's room? What the heck? Why would Nan Shen bring her here? Sit down. Nan Shen's cold and distant voice echoed throughout the silent room, as the man strode over to sit on one of the beds, waiting for Tan Hua to come in. This is your room, Tan Hua subconsciously trembled, seeing Nan Shen's face so serious at the moment. Never had she seen him like this before. Nan Shen raised his chin as he stared directly at Tan Hua, sending invisible pressure her way. His gaze was fierce, like a tiger ready to pounce. So scary. Even though Tan Hua was scared, she still hesitated to come in, which made Nan Shen subconsciously raise his eyebrow. What? You think I'll do anything weird to you? Nan Shen crossed his arms in front of his chest and crossed his legs, looking very imposing, waiting for Tan Hua to come inside. He didn't drag Tan Hua in, but just from his gesture alone, Tan Hua knew that he was almost forcing her to come. Fine. Tan Hua couldn't possibly win against Nan Shen when he was like this. So she dragged herself to the bed near the door and sat down. She was quite glad that the room had 2 beds, so she wouldn't have to sit too close to Nan Shen. Move here, seeing Tan Hua sitting on the other side of the bed, Nan Shen crooked his finger, silently ordering her to come closer. He was going to question this girl, and how could she sit so far from him? He had to ask her what was going on between her and Lan Yanjin, or he wouldn't be able to calm down. It wasn't because he felt jealous or anything, but Lan Yanjin was his company's rival. What if he had persuaded Tan Hua to cooperate with his company instead? Or maybe Lan Yanjin tried to get some kind of secret from his company. Nan Shen clearly wouldn't admit that what he was feeling was jealousy, instead of just a pure, cautious attitude toward a business rival. Oh, okay. Tan Hua gulped and moved to sit on the other side of the bed, facing Nan Shen. It's fine. She had left the door slightly open just in case Nan Shen tried something. She would be fine. So, why were you with Lan Yanjin? You know he's our company's rival. Your brand is cooperating with my company now, so you should be aware of that. Nan Shen tapped his finger on his left arm as he began questioning Tan Hua. He was already irritated, knowing Lan Yanjin had brought Tan Hua to a room. And just now, he had seen how close these two were. How could he not be suspicious? He made me meet my biological mother. Nothing more. Tan Hua realized that she was still technically working with Nan Shen. Or rather, this man was still her boss. So even though she felt the questioning was unreasonable, she reluctantly answered. What the heck was wrong with this man? She knew that he hated Lan Yanjin, but to actually be angry just because she met Lan Yanjin. It was just too unreasonable. This man isn't her boyfriend anymore, so he doesn't have any reason to be angry at her like this, right? Poor Tan Hua was too dense to realize that the man was actually super jealous, even though he refused to admit it. Your mother? All right, but you know you shouldn't be too close to him, right? I don't see your mother in the room either. Nan Shen paused a bit when he mentioned the word mother, as his anger cooled down a little. But he still couldn't understand why Tan Hua and Lan Yanjin were alone in the room. Well, she went home first. Tan Hua sighed, seeing Nan Shen seem like a father scolding a guilty daughter for sneaking out with a man at night. She didn't have any relationship with Nan Shen anymore. So actually, the man couldn't really control her, right? Then why didn't you immediately leave the room after your business ended? You know we're here for business, right? Nan Shen furrowed his brow as he kept questioning Tan Hua, clearly wanting to know what happened between them. If Tan Hua said she began dating Lan Yanjin, he couldn't even imagine what he would say. This wasn't about feelings. It was about business. That fox, Lan Yanjin, might try to get close to Tan Hua just for her brand, and he was worried. Nan Shen, you're not my boyfriend anymore, so why should you control me like this? I can go meet anyone I want. Hearing Nan Shen's tone, which seemed a bit like he was blaming her, Tan Hua couldn't help but raise her voice as she glared at him. She could understand if Nan Shen was angry at her, because she went with Lan Yanjin while he was managing the conference. But this was too much. Tan Hua gripped the hem of her dress, thinned her lips, and refused to answer further. Her eyes locked on Nan Shen's, and a light of frustration could be seen in her beautiful brown eyes. Nan Shen was taken aback for a second, seeing Tan Hua suddenly get angry with him. He knew he wasn't her boyfriend anymore, but this was business. He didn't mix his personal emotions with it. Did he? Nan Shen's eyes wavered as he gulped. This was the first time he saw Tan Hua so angry. She stared at him with sharp eyes, as if they had no relationship whatsoever. Why? Why did his heart hurt when Tan Hua looked at him with those cold, distant eyes? I'm leaving. Nan Shen, you don't even remember me completely, and now you want to decide who I should and shouldn't meet? This is clearly unfair. I don't care anymore. Tan Hua saw that Nan Shen didn't say anything else, and a spark of fire suddenly burned in her heart. So, this man won't even admit that he went overboard. Fine, she would just leave. This man didn't even remember her completely. Tan Hua quickly stood up from the bed, creating a creaking sound, as she turned away, about to walk to the door, when suddenly Nan Shen grabbed her wrist, preventing her from leaving. Listen, Nan Shen's voice trembled as he looked at the girl who was about to leave. What did he want? Why did he stop her from leaving? Did he actually have feelings for her? Let me go. I want to cool my head. Tan Hua brushed Nan Shen's hand aside as she kept walking toward the door. Her voice was cold, without warmth, sending a shiver down Nan Shen's spine. It was the first time Tan Hua treated him like this. Was it possible that she didn't love him anymore? Wait! Just when Tan Hua was about to open the door and leave, Nan Shen closed the door and put his hand on it, right next to Tan Hua's neck, trapping her within his arms. What? Tan Hua's voice was still cold, but deep inside, her heart was beating faster. If her intuition was right, something had changed inside Nan Shen. It was true that he still couldn't remember her, but what if? Just what if? What if Nan Shen began to have feelings for her? Tan Hua's cheek flushed red a bit, thinking about this, but she kept the excitement inside as she continued to play her act, cold and distant. It was better to act like she didn't have feelings for him anymore. This way, she would be able to gauge Nan Shen's reaction, whether he didn't care or was at least disturbed for a bit. Even if it was just a little, it would be enough. Turn your body around. We need to talk, Nan Shen whispered to Tan Hua as he moved his face closer to her ear. He didn't know what had happened to him, but he suddenly felt the urge to do this. Hearing this, Tan Hua still didn't move from her position. Her back was facing Nan Shen as the man placed both his hands on the door, preventing Tan Hua from leaving. Tan Hua looked like she wasn't disturbed by the intimate act Nan Shen just made, but deep down, she was squealing with joy. There it is, the devilish Nan Shen. He's back. Fine. But I did this to you because I'm worried. Nan Shen's heart hurt a bit when he saw Tan Hua was immune to his teasing. Usually, the girl would blush and become a tame, meek sheep. But now? Could it be his guess was true that Tan Hua didn't have feelings for him anymore? I know. But controlling who I should meet or not is already beyond the limit. Tan Hua stood still without turning her head around. Her voice was still as cold as before, without emotion. Tan Hua really looked like she was super angry at Nan Shen, which made Nan Shen's heart cool down. Instead of getting angry, he was now more concerned when Tan Hua became angry. It was rare for her to be this angry. The girl didn't even want to look at him as she talked. Maybe he went overboard earlier. Little did Nan Shen know what he thought was just an assumption. In fact, Tan Hua didn't turn her head around, not because she was too angry to do so. She just felt that if she turned around now, she was afraid that she couldn't keep up with her act. This was the first time Nan Shen took the initiative to do something after he lost his memories. Usually, it was always her trying to come up with conversation. But now Nan Shen had begun to react. So this is the method to tame Nan Shen. She should act cold and indifferent. Only then Nan Shen would look at her. If it's like this, let's keep up with the act. Alright, I'm sorry I went overboard. Nan Shen sighed as he tried to make Tan Hua look his way by moving to her right side. But to his disappointment, the girl immediately turned her face away from him as if seeing him was something unpleasant. Man, now let me go. I want to go home. Tan Hua crossed her arms in front of her chest, avoiding Nan Shen's gaze. Every time Nan Shen tried to look into her eyes, she would turn her face away so she wouldn't see Nan Shen's face anymore. Forgive me first. Nan Shen's heart beat faster when he saw that Tan Hua's attitude didn't change. He rarely apologized to anyone, and now that he had done so, he thought Tan Hua would return to her usual self. But she was still so cold to him. No, this couldn't go on. Tan Hua was his precious business partner. He couldn't afford to anger her. As smart as Nan Shen was, he could get truly shameless even with himself. He shamelessly decided that Tan Hua was a precious business partner, and, thus, he couldn't anger her. I forgive you, so now let me go. Tan Hua's shoulders trembled as she tightened her fists, trying her best not to laugh out loud. She didn't know what kind of face Nan Shen made now, but she was sure that the man was dejected. From his voice alone, he seemed so afraid that she would forever be mad at him. This was surprisingly fun. No wonder Nan Shen liked to tease her before. It was quite fun. Fine, I'll see you at the office tomorrow. Nan Shen lowered his eyes as he opened the door for Tan Hua, letting her go, even though he still wanted to make sure if the girl was mad at him or not. He was really bothered by this. Tan Hua was a precious business partner, and he couldn't afford to lose her.